G'day guys, we're here with the 2024 Subaru WRX in an automatic sedan. And we would like to thank the guys at Barton's Subaru in Wynnum. They've provided the vehicle for us to do this review. And this one's got something a little bit special as well. It has a couple of additional optional accessories which we'll cover in this review. Namely, the Performance STI exhaust that is now available, which are the exhaust mufflers. Now, those ones there have been upgraded. And they are a genuine Subaru accessory, so you won't impact your warranty, and most of all, they're guaranteed to fit because it's designed for this car by none other than Subaru. But let's start with the styling on the outside. Now, I'm excited to talk about the WRX with you today because I actually really love the Subaru WRX, and that love started back in the late 90s and early 2000s when Subaru was winning rallies with the WRX and the STI editions. They looked the part, and when you saw them on the road, they always looked like they were about to start dragging you at the lights. In fact, if you lived in certain parts of Western Sydney, that's exactly what they used to do. But is this still worthy of being called a WRX? Is it still worthy of carrying the name badge? Or is this just another Camry that's just bland and everyday driving mixed into a badge that it probably shouldn't have? We're going to find that out and more when we go through this car with you. We've just driven 200 kilometers to get down here to do this review so far, and it's an absolute blast so far, so I think you'll be excited. Starting with the engine, let me pop the bonnet and go from there. Now, under the bonnet is a 202 kilowatt 4-cylinder petrol engine, turbocharged, and it's good for 350 newton meters of torque. Unlike the Subaru WRXs of old, it has a little bit less of that Rexy sound to it, and that's exactly where this optional accessory comes into play. But I'll let you decide if it's enough or if it needs just a little bit more. Styling wise, it looks absolutely the part. It's gorgeous at the front, it has all the right lines, has LED daytime running lights, LED headlights, and LED indicators. It gives it an absolute presence that lets you know that it definitely is a WRX. And the best part, it doesn't come with too much clutter at the front. It doesn't come with additional parking sensors in places that you don't want to see them. It doesn't come with cameras. It doesn't come with any of that on the grille. Where it comes with, those cameras are at the top as part of Subaru's EyeSight technology. And where you would normally expect that front camera would normally be here, but it's not there. But you also don't miss it. So that's one positive thing for most people that have gotten a little bit bored with having cars that basically tell you how to do every single thing that you do. And that's what the absolute charm of this exact car has been the whole drive down here. It didn't give me any bells and whistles that didn't need to be there, but it did keep me on the road, and it did have some pretty intuitive features that we're about to talk to. So let's move along to the side. Around the side, you're going to be wrapped with 18-inch tires wrapped in Dunlop tread. The tires, they don't make much noise on the highway, which is really good. And in wet conditions, they do a pretty good job at sticking to the road as well. So all in all, it's a pretty good all-rounder tire. Now, if you are a hardcore track enthusiast, you probably want to go and swap these tires out for whatever your specialty is and whatever you've become accustomed to on a track. But for everyday drivers, these tires are absolutely perfect. They're not too big. They haven't gone for 19 and 20-inch rims. They've gone for a nice, comfortable, but yet well filled out 18-inch design. Moving along to the side, you have your side indicators right there. In place where you would normally have the bottom camera, you don't have that camera there. You have smart entry and smart exit for the doors. So you just go and swipe that locks, or you put your hand here and that unlocks, making it super easy. At the bottom, you have unpainted side skirts, which are a matte plastic finish. That matte plastic finish carries across onto there and wraps around onto that textured matte finish at the rear. You do have rear parking sensors, which they've cleverly integrated at the top here rather than on this bumper area here. Now, it's a pure wild guess, and it might not be accurate, but the guys at Subaru, if you are watching, please let me know in the comments if perhaps I'm onto something. Quite a number of WRX owners do like to modify and customize their cars. They like to make them theirs. They might like the styling to be theirs. And a lot of that comes with styling kits. Usually that bottom part is one of the first things to go and get swapped out. So by having the rear parking sensors a little bit higher, perhaps it has been designed this way to make it a little bit of an easier job to help you make this Subaru just that little bit more yours. At the back here, you do have a reverse camera, so you still get some level of technology. You get this black, glossy and sparkly kind of finish just through here, a massive big blue Subaru badge. And of course, it's an all-wheel drive, so it's comfortable and safe when cornering around some mountain roads or just in general day-to-day driving. Now, this particular car has been fitted with a couple of genuine accessories. That includes a boot liner. Now, they've gone for the plastic boot liner, and I'd highly recommend you get one of those if you are in the market for a new car, regardless of whether it's a Subaru or not. Just super handy, and they contain any water or mess that comes in from maybe going to the beach or doing whatever you're doing. And also a boot lip protector. Now, this is really handy. It folds right out just here and sits nice and neatly as you load things like suitcases or any other kind of luggage or long things, so that your boot doesn't get scuffed up in the wrong places. Once you're done through there, you can carry on. Now, the WRX does come with a spare wheel. It is a space saver, located just down here with all the tools and everything on there. So you're not going to get stuck somewhere by having a tire inflation kit. It does still come with a spare tire. Let's move to the inside and see what else you get. Now, stepping inside, you get soft touch materials at the top here. You get some cloth in here and some soft touch padding just there. Down the bottom, you get the traditional plastic door trim finish down the bottom that every car brand has. However, the one comment that I have with Subaru, and I think I made this mention in my Impreza video and also in my Crosstrack video, is that Subaru tends to use a slightly better plastic down the bottom. It just feels nicer. I don't know if it's better wearing or anything, but as a potential purchaser, it just feels like it's in alignment with the price that you're getting on the car. Other brands, however, tend to use really cheap, harsh plastic that just doesn't feel nice when you touch it or when you come against it. So it's one really good thing for Subaru there. There is some carbon fiber look finish just here on the insert, and you get this nice little textured area just through there. Inside, you get plenty of dials for whatever else you're going to modify on this car and whatever you're going to need to have for additional switches. There are also blanks that in other models of the Impreza and the WRX range potentially also are already used. Boot release and the stability control button just down here. You do have a sporty pedal design down the bottom with rubber inserts rather than just a standard bland rubber texture. Push button start just here, a knee airbag, which is all important for those fun driving days where you may end up needing an airbag. Steering wheel well positioned, the seat is well positioned, and what I really like is that the steering wheel is height and reach adjustable as well, so you're not settling for the wrong position. You're going to be in the right position that you need to be in. Paddle shift on both sides just through here, and they stay with the steering wheel as you turn. Auto on and off headlights and auto on and off wipers on this car, and your indicators are on the right hand side, wipers are on the left hand side. Seat itself is a manual adjustment, so you just move that backwards and forwards to wherever you need, or pump this down or pump it up to get your seat exactly where you need it to be. Apart from that, it's got a couple of nice safety tech features that you will really like that don't get in the way of day-to-day driving pleasure. One of those is the lane keep assist or lane hold. What it is a button that once your cruise control is activated, which is active cruise control, and what that will do is it will keep the distance between you and the car in front steady. So if you've set 70 k's an hour and the car in front slows to 60, the car will adjust that safe minimum distance that you've asked it to keep, and it will adjust it for you without you having to use the brakes. The lane centering button here will keep you centered in the lane and follow the path of whatever highway motor line you're trying to run. You do need to keep your hands on the steering wheel, so it's not off, so it's not a hands-off approach to driving. It just means that you're having to do less of those minor adjustments as you're doing a longer trip, potentially a road trip, maybe that's a couple of hours long. On the highway, if you're getting a little bit of wind, you're going to have constant movement of the steering wheel in just minute kind of adjustments that you don't even think about until you've actually pressed that and used it, and then you realize just how much the car can do for you in keeping that steering wheel just where you need it, bang on in the middle of the two lanes. Outside of that, hands-free for your mobile phone is all in here. It has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It is wireless as well. So come through and let's have a look at that screen. Moving through to the inside, it's a comfortable place to be. And as I mentioned, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are standard. So what you're gonna have is this screen up here that's pretty responsive. You can switch between whatever you need to switch through here, as well as a map. You have a couple of slider screens at the top here. So if you wanna see things like your water temp, your oil temp, average speed, you can switch that across through there. You can go straight to whatever your jams are for your music. And the best part about it is you still have actual volume buttons, actual tuning buttons, and air conditioning climate control buttons. You still have those, plus you still have the temperature touch buttons just down the bottom here. So you can still adjust it all digitally. You can go into the home menu and go to any of the number of other bits and pieces in here that will help you get to wherever you need to go. And it even has the digital pin code lock that the Subarus have had for years. It used to be a little pad that used to sit on the side of the WRX steering wheel, and you used to have to pin or to enter your pin code if you wanted to. This allows you to set up the same thing as well. Now, the one thing I will mention with this display is that it kind of tilts to the left a little bit. So as you're sitting here, this actually kind of feels like it tilts that way and goes with the rest of the dash, which means you get a little bit of reflection. So that's the only thing that I'm not 100% happy with in this overall cabin, but it's a very comfortable car to be in. You sit in here, it's nice, it's comfortable, the air conditioning goes exactly where you need it to go, and you're not too tight. And as I mentioned before, the WRX wasn't that great for bigger blokes like myself, whereas this current WRX, the seats are actually quite nice and they're not digging into my ribs. So even though I am a little bit bigger than probably most of the people buying a WRX, it's still a comfortable place to be if I was to have one. Transmission is automatic. You can get a manual option, but the automatic is just as fun. And if you're like me and you're getting a little bit older, having an automatic in traffic is kind of a little bit nice now. 12-volt outlet just down here. You have a USB-A, you have a USB-C, and you have an auxiliary input, all to make things easier for you there. Electronic park brake and a couple of generous cup holders that are sizable for bottles as well. You do have a little bit of storage compartment here and a little tray here for AirPods or whatever else you might have. Glove box that's sprung and has plenty of space, and soft touch materials all throughout the dash. So again, it feels like a premium car and has everything you need it to have. Up the top here, you do have two sun visors with mirror and light, some grab handles in case you're going too fast around corners, but overall, really comfortable place to be. So let's have a look at the back seat. All right, moving into the back of the WRX, you do have plenty of space, good leg room, good foot room underneath the front seat. That front seat is exactly how I would actually drive. So it is in the position where I would be driving. You do have reasonable headroom just here, and you have decent arm room here. If you want to pull this down, you've got some cup holders just here. Soft touch as well, because it is a cloth material for the back seat, meaning that you're going to be just quite nice in summer. It's not going to get too hot and it's not going to get too sweaty. Down the bottom here, you do have two ISOFIX points on the outer sides. So the left-hand seat and the right-hand seat, the center doesn't get one, but that makes it nice and easy for loading your kids in and whatever else. And at the top, you are going to have your top tether points for your child seats as well. You have 3 of them across the rear parcel shelf. So plenty of space. Aircon vents down here. The one disappointment is that this base model doesn't get USB outlets down here. So that's a little bit of a weird quirk for a car in 2025, particularly a higher spec vehicle. But that being said, it's the one thing I can fault about being in the back of the WRX. So let's see how it drives and let's wrap it up. All right, so we are doing the drive component, and yes, I have changed shirts. That's because it was way too hot outside while we were filming this review, and we were right next to the beach. So before the road review, we've gone for a swim. But now that we're back in the car, hair all a mess, outfits changed, and sand everywhere, let's talk about this WRX. So for me, the WRX has always been an absolute fun car. Like, it's just been a car that you can just hammer into corners. You can, you know, do whatever you really want to do on a mountain road and be relatively safe. but have a ton of fun while doing it in an incredibly nice sounding car. And for the most part, this WRX kind of does that. The only thing it doesn't do quite as much now is the noise. This has been optioned up with the optional STI muffler upgrade. That changes the mufflers to a better flow, higher exhaust note. So you get a little bit more of a note into the cabin and outside, but it still doesn't sound like a Rex, and it doesn't really resonate with the old Rex crew in that gorgeous noise that the Boxer engine always used to make, that made, you know, most of us fall in love with them back in the 90s and 2000s. In fact, many of the people that I know that absolutely loved them in the 2000s are going back and buying some really pristine examples of the 05, 06, 07, you know, WRXs, and even some of the, you know, late 90s Colin McRae type, you know, kitted out rally editions in mint condition, you know, that haven't really been modified. They're bringing them in from Japan, or they're finding them locally for sale, and, you know, they're happy to spend, you know, whatever they would on a new car, because it just brings back the nostalgia for them. And the current Rex just doesn't do it for them, is what many of them, you know, say. Like, it looks nice, it's a comfortable car, but from a drive point, it's no longer really a Rex. But that doesn't mean that it's a bad car. So don't get me wrong in my criticism or pointing out the things that are a little bit different with this model WRX, because this is still a fantastic daily drive performance car, and just a fun car that you can enjoy responsibly on your 9 to 5, you know, daily commute. But you can also go out on the weekend and take it for a burn around, you know, some tracks, maybe some, you know, mountain roads, or even down to, you know, your local racetrack, and just have an absolute blast with it. Feeling confident in the car, feeling confident from the safety features that the car has, while still enjoying it and being able to have a comfortable car Monday to Friday, which the old WRX never used to be. The seats are comfortable. This is the base model. It offers you a lot of value for money for a car that is an entry level into the WRX range. And the best part about it is that it doesn't have any of the modern kind of bells and whistles that keep going off, telling you that you're too far to the left, too far to the right, that your eyes have blinked 2 times too many in the last 30 seconds, so you have to have a rest on the side of the road. You know, all the things that have kind of made it less enjoyable to drive a car. So with that being said, I genuinely would recommend that someone goes and takes one of these for a drive. The seating position is comfortable. The seats are wide enough, they're not digging into your ribs like I've mentioned in, you know, earlier parts of this video. You got very nice visibility the whole way around. Like, you're not going to, you know, be without clear visibility regardless of how you go. And in terms of the joy of the drive, like, it's zippy, it's bright, it gets up and goes. You put your foot down, you get onto the highway at speed really quickly. But you can also cruise without the exhaust note droning and kind of doing your head in from being too loud or too noisy. And they may also be things that, because I'm getting old, maybe that's just things I don't find as enjoyable anymore. But I think that's the perfect combination of what the WRX is now. Like, it's just a comfortable sedan that you can have as a single person, or as a family, or as a couple. You can have fun driving it Monday to Friday. You can have an absolute blast driving it on the weekends. And, you know, it's not overly complicated. It's just exactly what you need, and a perfect balance of everything you would want from a car that is a lot more exciting and a lot more fun than something like a, you know, non-turbo 4-cylinder petrol sedan, which, you know, whether you go a Camry, a Mazda 6, or whether you go a you know, any of its competitors, they're really not that exciting. You know, they're capable cars, they're reliable cars, and they're comfortable cars, but they're not exciting. And that's, I think, what the WRX has done well in this model, is to keep a connection with excitement while still allowing you to have a nice drive that is going to be comfortable as a daily, and isn't going to send you to the chiropractor every time you decide to go for a drive. You'll hear it as we start accelerating onto the highway now. You know, we're doing 45 to get up to 100. You know, you can open it up a little bit and it will give you a nice little bit of noise and a nice little bit of boost. But it's effortless in the acceleration. It's not an overly complicated orchestra that no one knows what part they're meant to be playing. It's just balance. The other part that I'm also really impressed with this is you don't get a huge amount of road noise. You know, we can have this conversation at a comfortable pace and a comfortable noise level. It's not out of control, it's not over the top, it's just what you need. So let me know in the comments section if you would buy a WRX and what you think, and is it a car that could be for you? So there you have it, guys. As I mentioned on the drive, absolutely fun to drive, but it has lost a little bit of that WRX sparkle. It hasn't lost the sparkle of the car, it just doesn't feel like an old WRX. And I don't know if that's a bad thing or if it's a good thing, so let me know in the comment section what you think. I actually think it's evolved and kept up with where it should be for 2025. It's comfortable, it's punchy, it's exciting to drive, but it can also be tame and fuel efficient and a normal daily cruiser on the highway. It's everything a car is lacking now in many other of its competitors, where you don't necessarily want to be in a 6 or an 8, but you still want to have a car that has plenty of punch without going for a diesel, and with the security and safety of an all-wheel drive system, particularly if you live in areas prone to heavy rains or snow. So it's a great combination for a perfect daily drive that still adds a bit of fun and zest to that drive while still being responsible as the times change. So I absolutely love it. I recommend you go down and have a drive of the car. The guys at Barton's have offered an absolute discount on any vehicle that you want to purchase through them. A special deal, you just need to mention that you saw the review with Road Trip Reviews, and the team there will help you out in getting a great deal on your next Subaru. Until next time, guys, let me know what you want to see us review next, and if you want to see some long-term reviews in 2025.